I'm a bit troubled by the President's proposed defunding of the Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy, better known as SOFIA. This airborne telescope is our nation's only far infrared observatory, and after a decade of development, it's only just became fully operational this past February, a couple of months ago. We spent 60% of the total cost, which was near $1.2 billion. And yet the program has acquired less than 5% of the data planned. So now that we are starting to finally reap the scientific benefits, NASA is planning to cut the program. The administration claims SOFIA is being canceled to provide funding needed for higher priority projects, but this statement directly conflicts with NASA's fiscal year 2014 budget request, which said SOFIA funding was essential because SOFIA will soon be NASA's only far infrared mission, as Spitzer's cryogens have been depleted and Herschel's cryogens will be exhausted by mid-2013. It is the only mid-infrared mission until the James Webb Space Telescope becomes operational in 2018. Spitzer and Herschel's cryogen are now depleted. SOFIA is our only far infrared mission. So SOFIA has been a top priority of the astrophysics community for years, as is noted in the astrophysics decadal surveys. It's been a top priority of NASA, as demonstrated in previous budget requests to this committee. And now that SOFIA is just starting to become operational and provides unique scientific insights into the universe, the administration is planning to cut it. So the question is, what specific scientific and technical review and analysis was performed during the FY15 budget formulation process to support NASA's proposal to cancel SOFIA?
Mr. Arnold, if I can, let me go back first of all and say the President's proposal, our proposal to suspend operations on SOFIA is a proposal. We continue to operate SOFIA by the original 2014 plan, so we've got more time in this fiscal year. We put together a bipartisan, we put together a NASA DLR German task force to take a look at SOFIA, its cost, potential sources of additional funding that would enable us to continue to operate it into the future. And so that work is not done. So we have not made the final determination that SOFIA will be put into mothballs or whatever it is, but that is the proposal. The process in which we engage was a typical one where the Science Mission Directorate looks at the priorities on other astrophysics missions. They looked at the functioning of existing missions, and as you mentioned, Herschel, other satellites that we are hoping that SOFIA would be able to replace, continue to function. Their projected failure, which is what it is, we're saying we don't think they have enough cryogens to be able to go beyond X date. As Congressman Schiff pointed out earlier, one of the downsides of our goodness is we generally are wrong in our projection of the end of life for things that we have built, and they last longer than we thought. So we still have the capability to get data in the range that SOFIA would be doing. SOFIA does have some unique characteristics that we would like to have, but the astrophysics community did not have SOFIA ranked high enough in their prioritization that when we had to go through the types of budget exercises we did leading up to sequester, SOFIA did not make the cut line, if you will, where we thought we would be.
But we stepped beyond sequester.
Well, we're not beyond sequester. We have a 2-year hiatus, and with no indication that we are not going to go back to where we were before. And if we go back to where we were before, then SOFIA and a number of other projects go away. So SOFIA just did not rank high enough on the list of scientific priorities because we still, and I'm not a planetary scientist or an astrophysicist, but as they explained to me, we do still have sources of getting the data that SOFIA would provide. So it's not that by not flying, we've been getting that data up until SOFIA started flying last year. So, and we are still looking for ways to save Sophia.
The response is appreciated, but not sufficient in my mind.
I don't.
Because if we're talking about limited funding in the next couple of years because of sequestration, perhaps a decision was based upon that and not see much more than that. So I would suspect that revisiting the issue and the question might be pertinent. The other thing is that the other two satellites, they're orbital, and they're going to deplete.
Yeah,
Sometime
at some
in the
point.
future. Sophia has the ability to regenerate itself because it's not fixed. They get up there and bring it back down. So that flexibility seems to be an advantage that we should be looking at in order to sustain that kind of probe in science and effort. And so I guess I'd like to hear from you in the near future to go back to that community and find out whether they've changed their minds based upon the change in the scenery.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do. We expect to have a report out of the bilateral working group by the end of this month. That will be DLR and NASA astrophysics people saying, here are proposals that we have come up with to preserve the capability of Sophia for the future. We have a solicitation out to see if there are other potential partners, whether international or agencies, other agencies of the government and the like. That will tell us a lot. If Sophia is as important as some in the science community say, my guess would be there will be people standing in line to add their funds to maintaining Sophia. It's like I get notes from kids all the time with $1 that they want to make sure that NASA keeps doing stuff. I would expect that we will see people who don't fund Sophia today that will be willing to help fund it in the future because they'll get data from it.
I just have to go by your terminologies. Like the question is, I'm asking if you're cutting the program. You said no, it's a proposal.
Yes, it is.
And then you're working with your partners. Your partners are Germany, and they're putting in probably about 20% of the total cost.
That's right.
And we're 60% expended the amount allotted and authorized. Are you saying that the proposal and the effort will continue until the 40% is expended, and we'll see after that, or?
I'm saying that we are making an effort to find ways to fund the operation of Sophia. When we went through the process of evaluating which astrophysics missions would go, there was no other astrophysics mission, that would provide the level of funds that we could take that single mission away and get the same result with the budget that we did with Sophia. We could peanut butter spread it, and then what we would do would be to degrade the capabilities of multiple astrophysics missions.
Mr. Chairman, just one last question. The information that you would extract from the far infrared observation further out, what value does that have with all the other programs that you are supporting to move forward in space exploration?
I asked this question yesterday, and again, I'll take it for the record to get you the precise answer, but when I asked this question yesterday, they're looking at organics in the atmospheres of other planets, or looking, because it's infrared, it can see through things that Hubble, for example, can't see. But once it discovers that there's a region that we want to explore, it's not going to be Sophia that does that. James Webb is then going to hone in on that particular area. Over time, you might get the same information from James Webb, but as they explained it to me, and I think I understand it, James Webb is sort of like looking for a needle in a haystack until it gets some specific data. Sophia, because of the wavelength in which it looks, just sweeps through and boom, it just comes up on an area of interest that we then use another instrument to get the critical data that we need. But that's why I say it does have its wavelength is unique in its ability to cut through other galaxies and other planetary systems, that the survey instrument, it would be a waste of time and money to, to allocate it to looking out broadly, hoping that it finds something.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I look forward to a response on the other
Okay.
questions.
Mhm.